Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. And thanks for being part of this family. All three channels, Evolutionary, EEARTS, and also Heart's Home. And we want to thank our newest Patreons.
Thank you so much, Rafi, and thank you, Meg.
Thank you, Rafi and Meg. Appreciate it. You guys keep us going. So here we see a giant iceberg has sailed to the Canadian island of Newfoundland. Isn't that, odd? It feels kind of strange. I mean, it looks to be a perfect line there. I don't know, not really much jagged edges. It almost feels like something out of a sci-fi horror movie.
I don't know, it felt really weird, looked really weird, and I don't know, could be a little alien-like and something that might be cloaked as an iceberg. You never know.
You never know. In these times, you never know. So in all but 5 of the last 19 years, wildfires have burned in less than 150,000 hectares of land in Alberta. This year, they burned in more than 1.75 million. Look at that. And they want to blame it on climate change when we know there's been so much arson up there. Isn't that extraordinary? I would certainly say so. I mean, it should really get you looking carefully at agendas.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're so dirty. It's just, to me, it's par for the course. Of course they're going to do something and then wave it in your face and say that it's what they think it is so they can collect more money. It's just yucky.
Well, it's even more than just collecting the money, because again, the money is just an illusion that we're all agreeing upon. Here you have an out-of-control wildfire ripping through the Mojave Nature Reserve in Southern California. The York fire started on Friday, consumed more than 30,000 hectares, threatening biodiversity and the iconic Joshua trees. It's, again, a sad situation that we see all over the place. But, again, the planet is going to be completely renewed, and we're going to see massive changes. It's really about our decisions. And you had over a dozen pedestrians struck by a vehicle while fleeing from police. You see this all the time. People are acting way more crazy than usual. And I think a lot of people don't even know what they're doing. I think they're having their consciousness hijacked. And then in more ways than one. Some by putting substances in them. Some by just, the things that are around us all the time.
Well, there's so many subliminal messages out there. I mean, it's not even funny. And since we are now in an age where we always have a phone, we're looking at a phone, we're looking at a tablet, we're watching TV, always, they're able to put in more information. And I think so many people don't even realize that they're acting out of that. It's just something that they've done for a very long time, because unfortunately it works. And until we cut ourselves off from that, then people are going to be susceptible, especially if you're doing mainstream things that they recommend.
So over here we see Russia attacked the port of Ishmael last night. It's Ukraine's largest port on the Danube Delta, located just across the border from Romania. And 15% of the city's population are Romanians and Bulgarians. Many ethnic Turks live there also. Again, this is right by that area we were talking about. I think maybe about 5 days ago we had, drone strikes. It's just the entire globe is a powder keg right now. It really is. And Poland puts NATO on alert after Belarus violates airspace. As we've been saying, the most likely expansion of the war is involving Poland and Belarus. And as we had said, Wagner going to Belarus was really just a ruse to, again, preposition things. And it's always, the art of war is about deception. That's what it is. And yeah, the majors, certainly the majors, the colonels, and probably even most generals don't understand the big picture. They really don't get the big picture. They think they are sovereign nation states that have their own free will, led by their own leadership. And, the reality is, again, the nations are not even as powerful as corporations. Corporations wield far more power than nations. And corporations have backed both sides in past wars, including World War II. Made profits off of both sides. All the while feeding loose to the dark energies that really control all that we see. So they scrambled troops to the border. Tensions are rising here. This is going to be a hot spot. At some point, this probably will expand and become very, very serious. As you can see, the border with Poland and Belarus right here. 2 Belarusian helicopters carrying Wagner soldiers entered Polish airspace, just 2 kilometers deep into Poland, but still, they're always letting us know ahead of time what they're going to do. They telegraph. It's purposeful, the telegraphing. And we have nothing but non-stop war games on both sides. Ocean Shield 2023 drill kicks off in the Baltic. This is on the Russian, the BRICS side. Ocean Shield 2023 military drills have begun in the Baltic Sea, involving more than 30 Russian Navy warships and vessels, as well as 30 aircraft, about 6,000 military personnel. And, of course, we have nonstop war games going on the NATO side, too. Then we have Iran deploying warships with 600-kilometer range missiles on board during Snap Gulf drills. Yeah, Persian Gulf. Well, Persia, that's the ancient name for what we call Iran now. And, the reality is that meanwhile, while they're doing their drills off of their coast, we have ships right there off of their coast. So again, what could go wrong? It's just pick your spot. Is it going to be here? Is it going to be Syria? Is it going to be Poland and Belarus? Will it be something else again? It could be so many spots. And then we have another. The Pentagon has promised to keep U.S. troops in Niger, despite a request by the military junta to suspend security cooperation. Because, again, there was a military takeover, and the government that was in place was NATO-friendly, U.S. NATO-friendly, working with the U.S. There's, again, 1,400 French troops, 1,000 U.S. troops that they tell us about in the country. And now the new controlling military junta is BRICS friendly. What could go wrong? Yeah, again, this is, again, another spot. To add to that, we have the new Nigerian government ordering the armed forces to arrest any European nationals still in the country until France and other Western powers agree to withdraw their military forces from Niger. So, yeah, if you're there and maybe you're there in a non-military capacity, but you're doing some sort of work, you might find yourself arrested. And again, this is possibly, seriously going to kick off an African front to the BRICS NATO confrontation.
Mm-hmm. And I'm watching this and I'm realizing that we have a few planets going into retrograde. And while they're doing all these war games and clamoring people close to one another, of all planets that are going in retrograde for an accident to happen, good old Mercury. I don't have the date written down, but it's very soon. And when those energies come, they come like a wave. So they start out and then they increase until they peak, and then they decrease and decrease. So the Mercury retrograde, it's pretty much starting its thing now. It's just going to peak here very soon. And with having all those people out there just wargaming, yeah, like Mike says, what could possibly go wrong?
So, military conscription office, right? This is in St. Petersburg. At one time, St. Petersburg was the capital of Russia. And again, that was from Tsar Peter the Great, who really tried to ally Russia a little bit closer to Europe. And here you have the 12th or 13th documented case of attacks on conscription offices in the past two days, setting fire to them. Because again, the average person doesn't want to fight. And the reality is, there's no need for these wars. Oh, but they did this and they invaded. Yeah, again, Russia invaded Ukraine back in 2014, and again, there's been warnings to stop the NATO encroachment. NATO's constantly encroached, of course, because the big purpose is WW3. That's their ultimate goal. So what do? They do what they've been told not to, and there you go. It's because, again, this is the reason. The reason for this is to set the stage for that new world system, which, again, it's the same old system, just revamped. But what's the difference going to be? Well, again, there's going to be no semblance of real freedoms. The semblance of freedoms is going. The NWO is the old world order that we had when the Anunnaki were here themselves. And, some have said, where did the Anunnaki go? Where did they go? Well, if you look to just the quote-unquote myths and legends, they appear to have left. And what did they do? Who did they leave in their stead? They left their hybrid offspring in charge while they left. Again, kingship was given from on high. Yeah, kingship descended from the heavens, and if we look to the myths of the Asuras and the Devas, what we get during the time of the Mahabharata and the Kurukshetra war, which claimed over 1 billion people, according to some translations, and I do think that was, again, something that was misunderstood. How many people have been on the planet in the past? We might think that at 8 billion, there's never been more people on planet Earth, and I think we would be wrong.
I know. There's just this situation going on where everything seems all too unreal, and it's difficult to get a grasp on things because of the situation that we're in. But here we are.
And then we have this. This has really stirred up a lot. And this is from military.com. We need a limited military draft. Oh boy, here we go. Well, again, we were talking about the fact that they're going to draft a year ago or more. And, the reality is, again, January 2018, we did a video talking about how there's going to be a invasion of the U.S. by China and Russia and other nations. They are going to try to create a civil war atmosphere, which, again, 45 is the situation with 45 yet again. More indictments, yes. All the while exposing all the corruption in 46s. It's all meant to get people just to the point of no return, with not being able to control their emotional state, because they need the chaos to create the new order. This is exactly the operation. It's right in front of our face. Ordo ab chaos. It's order out of chaos. They create nonstop chaos by dividing us amongst ourselves. We, humanity, should understand that we are an occupied planet. We are occupied, just as, if those of you that know the rock opera, Jesus Christ Superstar, there was a song in there in which Judas is singing to Jesus, saying, we are occupied. Don't you know how downtrodden we are? Well, that's all of humanity. You got to get past the fact that they want you to get incensed when a church burns. They want the Muslims to get ticked off when a mosque burns. Again, it's all about keeping us divided. Have the communist fear and hate capitalism. Have the capitalist fear and hate communism. Pit them against each other. It's, as Cindy says, put red ants and black ants in the same box and shake it up and see what happens. That's what they do with the globe.
And those poor ants, left alone, they would get along peacefully, but with an external force shaking them up, I mean, they think the other is doing it. So they just attack each other and they will kill each other because they think that they're being attacked by one another when it's really all along. It's definitely that external force. And that's kind of the situation that we are in. And it's so unfortunate. And then, order out of chaos. We've been looking at that statement for how long since we've been able to look at our dollar bills? So that subliminal message, it's almost like they put it in our energy field. So at some level, we think it's acceptable. It's just really crazy.
Yeah, we're not meant for this. And again, they cover up the true numbers, they cover up all the facts, they give us BS. And this is trying to work out the number of how many people have been lost in Ukraine. Think about the males in Ukraine. And, again, this goes back to the biblical census. Why not number the people? They don't want you understanding that humanity gets wiped out on a regular basis. They don't want you knowing that there's been 8 billion people here in the past, maybe twice that. And it hasn't harmed the ecology. And we were able to do it in a peaceful way. Again, they don't want you understanding that because they operate on divide and conquer. And they even tell you that in the Bible in Genesis 11. A lot of soldiers die in Ukraine, on average about 400 obituaries a day. November last year was peak. About 1,100 obituaries for the soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine were published in one day. In total, I counted 284,000 dead, so said a military expert, Ruslan Tartarinov. The expert obtained the data from obituaries published in Ukrainian media and social networks, and then just figured the numbers out. When you think about what's happening is, they're absolutely wiping out generations. Meanwhile, sperm counts are down, fertility rates are down, estrogen production in males is up. It is the end of Homo sapiens sapiens is what we are looking at. Brain-eating amoeba in Georgia, probably while swimming in a lake or a pond. How did those things get in there? Well, again, there's all sorts of strange clouds. There's been strange clouds in all of our recorded history. This happens every year. When I was in Florida in 2017, I remember cases in many states in the South. They always seem to have them. Of course, they put the fear out there, but at the same time, things can amplify, especially when this world is under such dark control. This is a giant Malaysian katydid. Look at the size. That's a hand there, right? Look at the size of this guy. Nature is amazing. It's one of the largest insects in the known world. And this over here is an uncommon and relatively modern breed of chicken from Indonesia. This dominant gene that it has causes hyperpigmentation. The chicken is entirely black, including feathers, beak, also the meat, the bones, and the internal organs. Everything. Wow. Yeah, he might have a black heart, but he's got much more heart than any of the leadership of this world.
Mm-hmm. And he's really handsome. Look at that iridescence on the feathers. Those are beautiful. Now, I have heard, this is curious, I've heard of people getting black chickens because they can actually detour hawks and other predators down on the ground, so they mistake them for something else. So that rooster, he's really pretty. If I ever get a roo, I decided I want one of those now.
Oh boy, here we go. As I'm trying to rehab and bring back to life a little old rickety barn that's been grown over. So yes, perhaps chickens are in the near future if, again, the situation allows. Priest attends UFO hearing, gives a surprising interview. Many scientists, including an astronomer at the Vatican Observatory, they're probably using their Lucifer telescope, right? I mean, again, Lucifer telescope. We have Enlil satellite. It's all right in our face. Has expressed skepticism that aliens could be regularly visiting Earth, while agreeing that UAPs should be rigorously studied. Father Gray said they look forward to the church further addressing the issue of extraterrestrial life. He later added that if aliens are ever proven to exist, the church has already stated it would just further show God's creativity and his goodness. Oh, man. When you realize how many stars are out there, it's overwhelming. Have you ever seen the Milky Way in the desert sky at night, hundreds of miles away from, any major cities? It is overwhelming, the number of stars out there. Life is abundant. And no, space is not a vacuum. Space is not a vacuum. In fact, the guides have given us information about space, and I've been meaning to do a particular video on that in its entirety that we will bring up. So as we get disclosure, of course, they're going to twist it to suit themselves, and they'll announce the Anunnaki as those that have the technology to clean up the earth after all the devastation that the war created. Mm-hmm. And look at this guy.
Oh, that's just adorable. They're kind of both doing the same thing, just in different bodies. That's just too cute.
Kind of reminds me of Rama.
Yeah, it's Rama and Sassy, but Sassy doesn't fudge.
No. But again, guys, thank you so much for your support over on Patreon and also on Ko-Fi. Stay as prepared as possible. Keep putting your positive vibes out there. Again, if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you are feeling down, I would seriously recommend the Sanskrit mantras because they will change your energy and frequency so quickly. We have shorts that say how to say them. Loka samasta sukhi nom bhavantu is so beautiful. It just means may all beings everywhere be happy and free. Yeah, that's a great one to put out there because humanity has been under the control of a very, very dark system that it doesn't even understand. So we can start here and we can push that energy outward.
Indeed. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.